And once again, I just want to say thank you for joining us today. I'm proud to welcome you to our first virtual workshop. And as I was saying, we recognize that our practitioners have a strong base of training and knowledge that helps inform their work both in the pool and on land to help clients achieve a deeper state of calm and trust. And we are providing this workshop series as a bridge from water to land. So to make the most of your experience today, everyone is now muted. And if you have a question, you could put your question into the chat box. We have reserved 10 minutes at the end of the workshop for a Q&A session. And as I mentioned, we will add our recording and resources from this workshop to our website. And now I am pleased to welcome you to our presenter, Sharon Plaché. Sharon has a private practice offering a myriad healing modalities, including therapeutic bodywork, HearthMath, MER, which is mental emotional release, ThetaHealing, Innerwise, and hypnosis. She is also an NLP instructor, practitioner, and a mentor. And I've known Sharon for several years now. She has worked with veteran clients and others in our community who have experienced trauma as well as post-traumatic stress. Sharon considers her greatest gifts to be her lifetime learning and sharing and empowering others in their journey of self-discovery, healing, and self-care. She has felt her role as an educator and facilitator are the main objectives of her time with her clients. Her personal facilitating, teaching, coaching, and mentoring have been part of her private practice since the beginning. And today's workshop has been developed specifically to address the outcomes of trust and calm that are the hallmarks of Wave Academy's program. We are very grateful for her time and talent in presenting today's workshop, Resilience Through Self-Regulation. So with that, I will now turn this over to Sharon to get us started.
Thank you, Elizabeth. So glad to be here and welcome everyone. I'm going to take a moment and share the PowerPoint screen. And it looks like we're good. Okay, so let me just get it. There we go. So welcome everyone. So glad to be here with you today. And I'm so grateful for Elizabeth and the Wave Academy team for being progressive and forward thinking about creating a virtual summer workshop. It's really fantastic to know that we can support our community both in the water and through other formats like this. So hello to everybody that I know. If I haven't met you before, thank you for joining. And of course, Joe, one of the veterans that I've really been blessed and honored to work with. So glad to see you here today. So yes, I'm grateful to have had a practice for over 30 years and offer a lot of different modalities for healing and education and our growth as an individual and how that impacts our world, flows out into our personal relationships and our professional relationships is really close to my heart. And self-regulation is something I think I've spent most of my life exploring and discovering about how to really take care of myself. So thank you for taking time for yourself, because I know ultimately we are the world. So one piece I'd like to start off with is it's amazing to live in San Diego and be able to have a program where we offer support for veterans and their family and even active duty. And it's been a pleasure to be here since the very beginning. And this is a wonderful veteran that I was able to work with several years ago. And I just wanted to have us take a moment to remember that in fact we are our greatest gift, right? When we think about what are our resources and our treasures and our greatest gifts, one thing I just want to invite us to come home to is it's us, right? Each one of us individually. We're unique. There's nobody else like us, and we are really a treasure. We're a gift, and we have so many assets. And my intention was really for us to think about our empowerment and our superhero skills and talents that we have innately within us. So, of course, Wave Academy has desired outcomes, and that's supporting our veteran community. And we've talked a lot about this, and as well as a board, that our outcomes are really about this intention of calm and trust. And those two words might mean something different for each person, but we want to look at how we could cultivate that and facilitate that in our lives individually. So I put it in a bigger title of building resilience through self-regulation. So again, welcome and thank you for being here. I thought it would be really great to take a moment and allow ourselves to focus and settle in and ask ourselves, why am I here today, right? Why are we here today? Often life has us busy coming and going. We might be rushing to get onto this webinar and this training today. So I'm going to invite you to take a moment and through the of your breath, breathing in and out, ask yourself, why am I here? What is my intention? What would I like to take away from my time, my valuable time spent here today? Wonderful. So if you happen to have a little pen and paper next to you, it could be fun to maybe write down a couple of keywords, settling into the clarity of I'm here today. The value of that really directs our honest mind to seek out the resources that this time together could offer. Consciousness sets the goals, and our mind actually goes and when we take a moment to begin to self-regulate through our breath, we're directing our unconscious for information, the time that we're spending. So, a moment, if you have a little something next to you, down a couple of key words, and it allows us to begin to connect all the parts of it, our mind, our emotions, our mental body, our physical body, and our intention into a very beneficial focal point today. So, as you're doing that, really feeling a sense of gratitude that you took today for yourself, reflecting that you are your greatest asset, right? Greatest to yourself and to our world. Now, a very interesting word. I'm sure we've thought about, we've maybe use it in our regular language patterns and we think about how much resilience we have today. Maybe we haven't really thought about it much, but I wanted to give an overview definition of resilience and for us each to personally say to ourselves, what is resilience to me? And what is the value of me increasing resilience, the capacity and flexibility to prepare for, recover from, and adapt in the face of the unexpected, in the face of challenges, in the face of stressors, and the face of even possible adversity. So note we've all been unexpecteds, right? We've all been experiencing some version of a potential challenge or even a stressor. And today I wanted to offer tools and techniques that will really help you increase our resilience through self-regulation. And we're going to come back to this slide later, but I want you to just think to yourself, what capacity do I have right now, right? What amount of flexibility do I have right now that makes me adaptable in the face of unexpected, in the face of challenges, in the face of stressors, and the face of adversity? And our intention is to be able to increase our resilience. And I love this flower in this picture. You know, nature is so amazing. It can find life and vitality and resilience through any possible little crack. So that sense of we can emerge from what may seem like a very difficult place and actually come out the better. So, just for fun, I thought let's take a look at what's regulation or a regulator. And images are great. Learn so much through the vision of reference. And regulation, right, or being a regulator is either a process, a person, or a device that has control, right? It has the ability to measure the activity, the input, the output, the flow level, or the amount of something. And so this could include the rate and the speed and the temperature. So often we see a gauge like this, we might be thinking of fluids or gases, right? Things related in some lens, right? That there's a passing through that system without it being excessive, too much, or too little. We're going to look at how we could explore regulation with ourself. So self-regulation involves having influence, right? So this is that ability to be empowered. I have influence. I actually have control over my behavior, my emotions, my thoughts, and this will then create a greater sense of well-being, and it will allow me to achieve my long-term goals. And I know we all want to be able to have an influence positively in our life and the life of others, and also be able to manage and control what we're doing, what we're thinking, and how we're feeling. So we're going to learn some very simple and applicable techniques to do that today. Emotional self-regulation refers to the ability to manage emotions, right? We think of water often representing the emotional body. It's something that's fluid, right? It comes and goes, maybe even like the clouds across the sky. And the ability to self-regulate while there is this fluid changing process that happens to all of us. Sometimes it happens quickly, sometimes unexpectedly, it might be impulsive, but we have the superpowers, right? We have the ability and the flexibility to be able to manage and utilize our beautiful emotional body in a way that's beneficial for us and others. So let's take a look at this. So what impacts our self-regulation? So we have the sphere of biology, right? We know if we look up there physically that the quality of our sleep, the quality of our food, right? The nutrition we're getting at the cellular level, the amount of exercise, balanced exercise that we get, and the balance that comes with our sleep and nutrition and exercise all affects our bodies physiologically, biochemically. So the biology and the physiology of us as human beings can directly affect our self-regulation. If we come over here to the emotions and the mind, I'm sure in the sphere of psychology, we can all relate to the fact that depending on what we believe to be true, the thoughts we have, how we're talking to ourselves, actually also affects our self-regulation, because every thought in our brain creates a biochemical cascade. That means we think a thought, we get a hormone biochemical release, it goes immediately to our cells, right? So when we're focused on calm, one of the outcomes for Wave Academy, it directly impacts our ability to self-regulate, right? The ability to be adaptable and flexible and determine how much of a particular emotion and action we're going to exhibit. If we go down to the sociology part, relationships, we know how we feel and our acting in our life is directly connected to our relationships. Who we're connected with and whom, it could be our family, it could be friends, it could be our animals, it could be our community. How much sharing and caring are we being able to utilize and access? And this has been a unique time where maybe those styles and versions have had to change. then the communities that we get to participate with. And Wave Academy is an amazing community, and this can directly affect self-regulation, right? As our clients come into the community of Wave Academy, it's offering a greater potential of self-regulation. And ideally, that's going to also lead to one of our outcomes of trust. If we come over to the spirituality sphere, this is the energy of life. And another way to look at it is, what is our purpose? Why am I here? What makes me unique? What motivates me? What has me connected to my life? And what also do I value? So when we look at self-regulation, when we think about self-regulation, we really feel into it. Self-regulation is impacted very much so by our biology, psychology, sociology, and spirituality. So let's go a step further. Here we are in life. Now, probably up until mid-March, most of us felt life was pretty fast-paced, often to the point where it's just kind of a blur. We're quickly going from one thing to the next, often not even having a chance to catch our breath. And so we want to be able to establish self-regulation skills and techniques when life is busy, right? When it sometimes is a blur. And when we install them in the unconscious mind, they become part of our normal life set, our normal skill set, and we use them on a regular basis. Now, kind of the contrast to this fast-paced life, many of us have probably felt this, right? Isn't this a fun picture? This sudden isolation and limited access to those that we love, those that we normally are used to connecting with, and having that ability to have good psychology and sociology together. So this also can create some dysregulation for us, and we want to also have a skill set in isolation and limited access to the things that normally help us manage our stress, that we can also do it in this kind of unprecedented time that we're in. So let's continue on. So let's look at some signs of dysregulation. And another way to look at that is stress, right, that is unresolved in our life. So we might have a sign of dysregulation showing up in our body, right? We have migraines, we have some pain, sleep disorders, potentially a chronic illness, a disability. We might feel sore, tight, or taut in our muscles. We could be experiencing fatigue, weakness, even skin conditions and digestive issues are representative of dysregulation in the physiology of our body. If we look over at mind and we're saying, wow, am I dysregulated and it's showing up in my mental body, we might be having excessive worrying, it's disrupting our sleep with nightmares, indecision, negativity, muddled thinking, impaired judgment, forgetfulness, like that inability to access our memory centers in our brain, and distress. If we come down to behaviors, right, where we're dysregulated, these are really good signs for us to take note of, right? They're like, I need to get back into my self-regulation. It might be affecting our appetite or desire to engage in life. We might be utilizing some self-medication, right? Drugs, alcohol. We might be lashing out and being abusive to ourselves and others, potentially at an extreme of violence. Clumsiness is a sign of dysregulation where you seem to be dropping things or bumping into things. Self-harm, insomnia, again, affecting the sleep. Hoarding or having disorganization in our environments, and also that isolation, alienation, right? So these again are signs that flags, hey, I need to utilize my skills for self-regulation. If we come over here into the emotional body, we can have it show up as loss of confidence, ability, depression, hopelessness, loneliness, tension, anger, and even apathy. So today we're going to use this emotional reaction, this emotional template as our sign of dysregulation and how to self-regulate and therefore create a more So everything starts with self-awareness, wouldn't you agree? I mean, as we come to see ourselves, we can start to see, where am I spectrum of functioning in my life? How self-regulated am I? So these are fun little icons. I just love them. You know, are we feeling like our battery is charged up? We're feeling optimistic, right? We're feeling, or are we feeling batteries getting drained, right? And we're depleted. In fact, life has kind of gone gray. It's gone from color to black and white. We've gone to energized to depleted. And we're going to focus on the power of our emotions and attitudes and how to use these outcomes and give us the ability to self-regulate and therefore resilient and really cultivate the value and purpose of calm and trust. Let's look at this side of being resilient, right? Our batteries charged. We tend to be more physically and emotionally and mentally flexible. We're more optimistic. We have a greater access of creativity. In fact, we're utilizing the functions of our brain, so we have more creative and intelligent thoughts, emotions, and outcomes. We have insight, right? Our intuitive abilities are heightened when our batteries are charged. And also, we're able to see the big picture. So when we're doing decision making, problem solving, we want to have that flexibility of being able to zoom in and zoom out, see the big picture, and then come into the details and figure out what's going to be the resolution and create a positive outcome. So a charged battery, right, self-regulation facilitates all of these different attributes. When we get depleted, right, our batteries are weak and we're feeling run down, right, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, not only do we feel weak in our bodies, we might also feel like our thinking is foggy, right? We feel like we're having a weakness in being able to put thoughts together. And often when we feel weak, we get rigid. As a protection device, it's almost like a freeze. We don't want to be pushed one way or another. We can be pessimistic, seeing the worst or expecting the worst. Our vision gets narrow. We have less intelligence. So we could even say we become more ignorant. We're unable to tap into our greater resource of wisdom. We often can make assumptions, right? We assume something's going on. And then our understanding of ourself and possibilities become limited. So wouldn't you agree? Ideally, being recharged brings out the most empowered superpower self. And that gives us resilience through regulating who we are, what we think, what we say, and what we do, rather than letting the air out of the balloon and feeling deflated. So let's take this a step further. I loved this research that was done actually with veterans from World War II. And so a lot of times we talk about this term stress. You know, people want to get rid of stress. Well, there's actually a healthy aspect of stress that we need in our life. What we're talking about is unresolved and extreme stress. So initially when there's stress, there's a heightened ability that happens, right? So when any of us experience stress, both a soldier or us as an individual, initially all of our systems become heightened. And that's where we see the arc go up, right? The soldiers become wise, right? We as individuals access our heightened ability, like we're battle wise. And we have a period of maximum efficiency. We're able to almost have superhuman strength, powers, thoughts, and getting things done, right? It's part of our what's the word? You know, sustaining life, right? The ability to self-survive, self-maintain. So there is this part within the physiology of our body and mind and emotions to, with stress, have a heightened amount of efficiency. But what happens is when that's unresolved, you notice how the arc starts to go down and it's leads us into exhaustion. This is where all of our functionability drops off. You know, initially we start with the charged battery, it takes us so far, and then the battery starts to become depleted. So we become exhausted, right? Mentally, emotionally, and physically. Now, this is interesting. This is over a 60-day period. That's the lower metrics. And the other is the degree of activity or engagement, right? How much intensity someone's experiencing. Well, we've all been experiencing more than 30 days and more than 60 days of extended stress. And so I'm sure we had a level of efficiency when we started, but now in different ways, unless we're doing self-resilience exercises, unless we're doing self-regulation exercises, we could on some level be slipping into exhaustion. So this is a great study and a slide to demonstrate that. I wanted to give you wonderful resources. I love to be a lifetime learner, and there's so much out today in the marketplace on YouTube, through audiobooks, so many amazing experts in the field. So Candace, I love her book, Molecule of Emotions. So remember when emotions that we have and thoughts we have a biochemical cascade? Well, her body of research that goes inside our body form a dynamic information network linking our mind and our body, empowering us to understand our feelings and the connections between our minds, our emotions, and our bodies. So this was kind of revolutionary when we were really coming to have a greater appreciation that everything we think charges our battery or depletes our battery. Every emotion we have charges our battery or depletes our battery. And so I've loved reading her book and looking for personal applications in my life. What am I doing with my thoughts? What am I doing with my emotions? Are they resourcing me? Are they renewing me? Or are they depleting me? So some of you might be familiar with Dr. Amen. He's a wonderful psychiatrist. He does amazing brain research, and I'm one of his certified healthy brain coach practitioners. And I've gone up to his clinic to have a brain scan, and I wanted to share this brain scan with you with the power of what we think, right? What we emotionally focus on. So on the side of grateful, this was a woman who came to him who was a yoga teacher and a meditation practitioner, and she wanted to see what was happening in her brain. So on the side of grateful, when she focused on with intense emotions of gratitude and appreciation, it increased the activity in the back of her brain, her cerebellum, which is where we want to see increased activity. This is really important for high level functioning of our brain. When she shifted to focusing on things that she didn't like, being hateful and frustrated, it fired up her limbic system, particularly her basal ganglia, which has a feeling of anxiety, particularly her amygdala, which has fear. And so this was like real-time science showing us, wow, what Candace Pert talked about, what we focus on with our thoughts and emotions changes the physiology of our body, and it changes the function of our brain. He has amazing research out there. You can find him on YouTube, great books, and he's really brilliant in his cutting edge understanding of our brains. And we all have different brains, so it's important to know what kind of brain we have and how to support it, because that adds to our resilience and it allows us to be able to self-regulate. Bruce Lipton, a great mentor of mine. I've studied with him many times. If you don't know about his work, The Biology of Belief is phenomenal. Again, cutting edge research to understand that what we believe becomes our bodies, right? So when we transform our conscious and subconscious thoughts, we transform our lives. And in the process, we help both ourselves and humanity evolve to a new level of understanding and peace. Right? So to me, like the outcomes with Wave Academy, understanding is that trust, right? And calm is the peace. So as we begin to become the masters of our thoughts and emotions, we self-regulate and we're therefore more resilient. So here's some great exercises we can do. So if you have a piece of paper, it's fun to create a little block of quadrants and for us to take a look at this for a moment. And if you don't, you can replay this and copy it down at another time. So Deepak Chopra, I've studied a lot of his work. He's got amazing resources as well. Excuse me, he says we have approximately 60 to 80,000 daily thoughts. So every day we have hundreds and thousands of thoughts going through our head. Most of them are charged from experiences in the past. We attach meaning to those thoughts, and then we have an emotion. So if we look at this grid, we've got the one side where we're reactive, negative emotions, it drains our battery. On the other side, we've got proactive, positive emotions that charge our battery. At the top, we've got the sympathetic nervous system, right? So this is when we have a high charge, a high intensity, and the arousal in the nervous system is high. We go down to the bottom, parasympathetic nervous system is where there's a lower charge in the nervous system. There's a decreased intensity, low arousal in the nervous system. And so also if you see the meters on the side, when we're in negative emotions, we often end up a little bit in the red, right? We get rigid and stop, or we could get into like seeing red where there's more of that anger emotion. On the proactive side, we get in the green. We're more adaptable to go forward, we're more flexible, and we usually have more resourceful emotions. If you notice on the side panels, when we are more resourceful and proactive, our bodies, particularly when they're relaxed, can rest and digest. Really important for absorbing nutrients from everything that we eat, and also for cellular repair, right? So when we think about being resilient, we also need to have good cellular repair in our bodies. If we come on the other side, the fight, flight, freeze mechanism, this creates stress hormones, particularly cortisol. Cortisol attacks and tears down our brain, and it prevents cellular repair. It actually can even have us put on weight because the adrenals get drained. So we can begin to change our physiology and our psychology and our relationships through being able to manage our emotions. So let's take this a step further. Thanks for coming along with me. So let's start over on this reactive side. So the items that are in the upper quadrant, anger, agitation, and potentially resentment, could be more highly charged, right? They're more up in that sympathetic nervous system. There's more energy and more intensity. Frustration for some people could have a high charge. For some people, it could lead them into lower charged negative emotions, right? Depression, hopelessness, apathy. And we're going to take a moment and go through an exercise and become aware of our own reactive emotions, right? So let's look at some of the things that maybe we've been having going on, right? We've had unusual circumstances. And I want you to be thinking about yourself while we quickly go through this. So circumstances that are going on is someone potentially could be stuck at home, right? We've had the shelter in place. What feeling or thought have we had about it? Have we felt lonely or isolated? Some people have lost their childcare, right? They've lost that support that they had within their social community and their relationships. That might lead to the feelings of thought or overwhelm. So what we're beginning to be aware of is this feeling and thought that's negative starts to deplete our energy. Some people have lost their jobs or haven't been able to work, and it could be activating the feelings and thoughts of being afraid, right, or uncertain. So I want you to be thinking about your own negative thoughts that have been potentially depleting, because we want to fill our tanks up today. So what might happen when we have those thoughts? Lonely and isolated might lead to depression and anxiety, right? Feeling overwhelmed could lead to being irritated and cranky, right? And being afraid and uncertain could lead to anger and even being fearful. So remember, these all potentially could really lead to dysregulation of ourself. And we want to look at how to self-regulate and have more resilience. So what happens when we have these experiences, right? Our behavior of being stuck at home might lead us to even being more shut down. We might yell at the kids because we're irritable, or as we get angry and feel for, we might blame ourselves, we might blame others, or we might do negative behaviors like eating junk food. So I want you to think for a moment, just take a quick minute and say to yourself, what's been depleting my energy, right? Make a couple of notes, maybe in that section of your grid. What negative and reactive emotions have you been having? Great. So I do hear someone speaking in the background, so I don't know who might need to mute themselves. So I just wanted to let that be known. So if we move to proactive emotions, these are the ones that fill our tank up and give us a charge in our batteries. So higher charge intensity, proactive positive emotions could be excitement, motivated, confident, gratitude. And then we have compassion, calm, and peaceful are more quiet, parasympathetic integrative emotions. So again, asking yourself, how many of these have I had, right? How many of these have I been able to utilize? So let's look some examples. Okay, we've been sheltering in place. Got to clean the garage. Yay. Now I feel light and open here. I called a friend to check on them, and I felt grateful for my friendship, happy and compassionate, right? I went for a walk or a run, and I now feel more relaxed, energized, and accomplished. This is charging our batteries. The outcome is, wow, I'm organized. The outcome is, I'm connected. The outcome is, I'm actually feeling more healthy, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And then behaviors or outcomes that might come from that, right? Because it's really wonderful to be solution oriented, right? Move to the step of an outcome, right? So we decide to clean out other places, right? We connect with others more often, and we create an ongoing exercise schedule. So take a moment. What have you been doing in this time that's reinforcing you, right? Building your resilience, and also giving you an increased ability to self-regulate. Again, there's noise in the background, Elizabeth. I don't know if it's your sound, so just wanted to share that. So what have you had as positive emotions, positive thoughts about yourself that are proactive during these last few months? And we're now going to step into an exercise on how to energize these positive emotions and really charge our batteries. So again, remember our goal, resilience, the capacity and flexibility to prepare for, recover from, and adapt in the face of the unexpected challenges, stressors, and adversity. So Greg Braden is a wonderful resource on us to be realized that there's a power in our heart, that the heart has brain-like cells, a sensory neurological system located within the human heart, and it is the role that they play in creating our personal resilience. This is one of his new books. I want you to know about that because we're going to supercharge our positive emotions, our proactive thoughts with the power of our heart. So many great leaders and philosophers already know this. Vision will become clear when we look into our heart, right? Our visions will become clear when we look into our heart. When we look outside of ourselves, right? We can dream, we can have visions, hopes, and opportunities. And when we look inside, those visions, dreams, and opportunities can awaken and become a reality, right? This is a lot of what Carl Jung was exploring. Love Helen Keller, right? Her sight was taken away, right? And so she developed a greater understanding of the heart. The best and most beautiful things in the world aren't necessarily seen, right? Or even touched. They're felt with the heart. So we want to activate this power in our heart. Only the lasting beauty is the beauty of the heart, right? Rumi, a great Sufi philosopher and poet. So did you know how powerful your heart is, right? The human's heart's magnetic field can be measured 7 feet away from the body. So when we supercharge our heart, it also empowers the space we're in and the people around us. Negative emotions can create nervous system chaos, but positive emotions actually do the opposite. Positive emotions can increase the brain's ability to make good decisions, right? We talked about that when we're resilient and self-regulated. We can boost our immune system by focusing on positive emotions, particularly connecting with the heart. Positive emotions create physiological benefits to our bodies. Yay, more cellular repair. And in fetal development, the heart forms and starts beating before the brain has actually begun to develop or even fully develops. So this is a moment to just go, wow, bless our hearts. I loved this little perspective that the 21st century has been about the brain. It's been the information era. We've learned to become smarter, and yet are we always wiser? And is it possible that this next century is the century of the heart, right? So that's a rhetorical question. How can we bring more heart into our lives? When we intentionally experience sincere, positive emotions, such as caring, compassion, or appreciation for someone or something, the heart processes these emotions and begins to become more coherent. and send out positive information that's in that field, right? 7 feet from you. Positive information throughout your entire body and the space around you. So let's look at a quick understanding of what coherence is, and we're going to actually apply this. So in Latin, it means to stick together, right? The parts are fitting together well, right? So coherence is learning to shift our emotional state, and then the heart connection, the heart coherence helps to calm our minds, right? One of the outcomes for Wave Academy, calm. And heart coherence also triggers positive hormonal releases. And that way we feel calm and centered in our body. We can begin to trust ourselves and then begin to step out and trust those close to us and our world. So again, self-regulation, having influence and control over our behavior, our emotions and thoughts to create well-being and the pursuit of long-term goals. Emotional self-regulation refers to the ability to manage emotions and impulses. So Heart Mind Matrix, great book from Pierce. HearthMath Solution did some of the cutting edge research about the power of our heart, links the physical heart and the spiritual heart. And HearthMath shows that we got 4 major ways that the heart connects: neurologically, biochemically, biophysically, and energetically. I know I'm going quickly through these slides. I want you to have the experience, and I know you can replay this, okay? So quickly, when we're out of sync, there's disruption between our brain and our heart. Our heart actually has neuroprocessors like the brain. It has its own brain. And we want to have the heart and the head connected or in sync, where there's a beautiful flow. When the head and heart are connected, we're literally beaming out energy that makes a difference for ourselves and others. So I'm a HearthMath intervention practitioner and coach, and this is some of their research that shows when we're frustrated, irritated, anxious, and worried, we have a disruptive heart rate variability, right? It affects our heart rate, our physiology in real time. When it's coherent is when we're in positive emotions, appreciation, love, and care. You can see that the field has changed. It's fluid, it's even. Now you could say, okay, this is research. I want to see it in real time. And guess what? I have a real-time slide for you off of my system that I work with clients. So I work with clients for them to see both their brain waves and their heart rate. So this was a real-time session with the client. You see they start off focusing on everything that they're happy about, positive emotions. We see that same pattern that we saw on the former slide, right? Appreciation, gratitude. I ask them to shift to something that frustrates them, bothers them, or they don't like, and you see immediately their heart rate becomes jagged and irritated. Happened real time. So I want you to be able to get the next exercise we're going to do happens immediately real time in your body. And then just at the end, they started to go back into gratitude, and you see how quickly it shifts. Down at the bottom, see they're up in that green, they drop down in the red zone, and just at the end, they're starting to come back up into the green. So self-regulation, one of the easiest and best ways to do it is with our breath. So I'm going to invite you to follow the pacing of this as best you can. And we're going to focus on our breath. Then we're going to focus breathing in calm, focus on our breath, breathing in and out trust, and focus on our breath. So enjoy settling in. And there's about a count of 5 on each breath. And breathing in a slow and easy pattern that's comfortable for you, a little slower than you normally do. Allowing the breath and the focus on calm to create self-regulation. Wonderful. Thank you for joining me with that. So that's especially sweet for me because those are the waves off of Molokai in Hawaii. I was there with my husband David, and I went out one morning early as the sun was coming up and recorded the waves. So both it's my breath and it's focusing on those emotions, and it's also knowing that those are the beautiful waves of Molokai. So I asked you earlier to think about what draining emotions or thoughts have I been struggling with in the last week or the last couple of days. And hopefully you wrote a couple of those down. And I want you to now focus on some replacements. How could I recharge myself with a different emotion or thought? And I want you to pick a couple of recharging emotions or thoughts. It could be the calm or the trust that we just shared, or something else, because we're going to do one final exercise for you to really be able to apply that. And you think about that slide knowing immediately, instantaneously, your physiology, your brainwave, and your heart rate will change. So pick a couple of emotions that you want to use as replacements for the draining emotions and thoughts to really focus on recharging your emotions. So this is our final exercise together. It's just a couple of minutes. And I want you to set that intention that as you breathe in and out, watching this beautiful kaleidoscope, that you're replacing with the intention. And you might even want to put your hand on your heart or just tap your heart for a moment or your heart center, because this kaleidoscope is really kind of representative of that heart center moving in and out like our heartbeat, right? It's going to flow in and out and really assist with your self-regulation, the ability to be adaptable and flexible with your thoughts and emotions, and therefore charge your battery and be more resilient. So enjoy focusing on your positive emotions, feeling it emanate in and out of your heart with your breath. So, invitation. How is it possible for us to find the calm within ourselves and regulate, right? Self regulate to create the highest outcomes in our life, to have the resilience for unprecedented times and for the times where we really cherish who we are and our beloveds in our life. So we truly are our greatest gift and our asset. And may we always remember that and shine that light of truth within ourselves and out into our beautiful world and encouraging those around us. So always happy to support you. It's been an honor to be here today. Thank you for joining us. And I'm so grateful for all that the Wave Academy has to offer and our amazing team and all the veterans and families that have participated and made who we are and what we do possible. So in the spirit of true calm and trust, thank you and namaste.
And we want to thank you, Sharon, for spending your wisdom and sharing your wisdom with us today. And I want to let all of you know that we are recording this again, and if you would like to go back and review some of those slides, it will be available to you. I will, if you have a question or comment, please take a moment. We have just a few moments, and I'm happy to take some time to answer questions with Sharon here today. You're welcome to type those into the chat box, and we can take a moment to answer your questions. And just want to thank you all for showing up today. That has really made this a community aspect, which is very heartwarming for us in our nonprofit space to be partnering with Sharon and with all of you. So thank you all, and thank you, Sharon, very much for being with us today for our very first virtual summer workshop. We also will be repeating this workshop next Tuesday. If you'd like to join on and be part of that community next Tuesday, please join us with Sharon then. And we have a workshop this Thursday with Cheryl Zola, and she will be teaching a workshop about awareness of your body through the Feldenkrais movements. And we have some more workshops coming up later in July, including one by Jill Thyree, who comes to us with training most recently from the Rancho La Puerta. So please take a look at those offerings. And again, thank you very much for being here today. And we wish you all, yes, Sharon?
I wanted to share that I encourage everyone to listen to the recording and also the meditation breathing videos that I made. I will post those on my website, sharonplache.com, under the section that I call Gratitude Gifts. So there's resources there that are free and available to you. So it's sometimes nice to have something that paces us through a very simple exercise. So thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. And I see a comment from Joe Schramm to everyone, and really to commenting to Sharon. So I don't know if you're able to see that, Sharon. Joe comments that he was in your pool for a moment or two, and he's sending theta thoughts.
Yeah. Thank you, Joe. Good to see you.
All right, with that, everyone, I just want to thank you again, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thanks for being part of our community.
Thank you.